Good evening and welcome to Gay Newsbreak. I'm John Beebe.
And I'm Dorinda Boswell.
American Airlines, a major sponsor to the supporter of groups representing gays and lesbians, is also the first airline to adopt a written non-discrimination policy covering sexual orientation in its employment practices. In an unusual joint letter released to the media by the Family Research Council, Concerned Women of America, America Family Association, and Coral Ridge Ministries, American Airlines was openly criticized about their non-discrimination policy. Radical right leaders have blasted the airline because Americans' sponsorship of homosexual pride events constitutes an open endorsement of promiscuous homosexuality. And they've complained to the executives that the airline has gone beyond mere tolerance of gays and lesbians. Callers from the radical right demanding that American terminate its gay-friendly policies are bombarding American Airlines switchboard and email. In response, a petition to American Airlines supporting their courageous stance is being circulated by email. Please watch the community bulletin board at the end of this program for information on how you can participate in this petition. Dorinda?
Thank you, John. Often I visit with a lesbian in our community who has children or who wants to have a child. The biggest fear for these mothers or mothers-to-be is keeping custody of their child. In New Jersey this week, a judge ruled that a lesbian mother must share custody of her 2-year-old son with her ex-partner. This decision grants the ex-partner the status of a parent. This is a first because of broad custodial rights given to a woman who is not the child's birth mother. Kate Kendall, who heads the National Center for Gay and Lesbian Rights in San Francisco, says this is an enormous victory, that it recognizes that biology is not the sole determining factor of whether someone is a parent.
An unprecedented lawsuit was filed recently in U.S. District Court in Chicago by the nation's largest gay and lesbian Christian congregation, charging breach of contract against television superstation WGN. Reverend Michael Piazza, senior pastor for Dallas's famed Cathedral of Hope, is suing because of WGN's failure to honor its agreement to air the cathedral's half-hour video program celebrating the faith of the church's inclusive congregation. According to the Cathedral of Hope, in July of 1998, WGN executives initially approved the program content, agreed to the terms, prepared a detailed schedule for nationwide broadcast, and cashed the church's check for $12,000. The station then breached its obligation, canceled the program and broadcast schedule, and returned the already cashed check. WGN claimed an internal miscommunication for its abrupt and indefensible contract breach. We'll follow this story as it unfolds to bring you updates. This should be an interesting and perhaps a historic case to watch.
On Tuesday evening, I attended the Democratic Watch Party at the Radisson Hotel in Oklahoma City. I was fortunate to meet and visit with Paul Barbie. Paul Barbie ran for U.S. House District 6. The gentleman ran his campaign openly gay. He spoke in favor of economic issues and for the rights of single people. He was defeated by Frank Lucas. Also, I was able to visit and meet with M.C. Smotherman. She ran for U.S. House District 5. She was proud of the support throughout her campaign. Smotherman was founder of the Regional AIDS Interfaith Network known as RAIN. She was defeated by Ernest Istook. I attended Laura Boyd's concession speech. She thanked her supporters and encouraged them to continue to have their voices heard. She said she traveled over 100,000 miles in a year campaigning and never knew losing could feel so good. People all over this state have been touched by our message, she said, to protect children and families and to provide quality schools, better jobs, and to safeguard our air, land, and drinking water.
We were drowned in a sea of money. We were hoping this would be an election and not an auction.
The Keating campaign raised a record $2.6 million. Boyd's campaign did just about $500,000. And so she did wish Keating well and said that our state needs a good governor.
Election results are in, and nationally it was a surprisingly good year for the Democratic Party, which had been predicted to suffer losses in Congress. In Oklahoma, the Republicans fared well in federal and statewide races, while the legislature remained solidly Democratic. despite Republicans gaining 4 seats in the House. Incumbent state officials were returned to office with the exception of John Crawford, the insurance commissioner who lost his seat to challenger Carol Fisher.
John, the Cimarron Alliance Group, a statewide political action committee supporting equal rights for gays and lesbians, endorsed a number of candidates for local, state, and federal offices. Although many of the candidates they backed were not elected, this shows the need for more education and political activism on the part of the gay and lesbian community across the state. We are still not guaranteed our basic civil rights. We must lead this fight ourselves. We have the numbers if we will only register, vote, and help educate others. If you voted, we thank you. If you didn't, please get registered and get involved. Our rights depend on it.
Very well said.
Oh,
we also wanted to make a note here that the University of Oklahoma Gay and Lesbian Bisexual Alliance is sponsoring a religion and homosexuality discussion panel on November 11th, 1998 in room 128 of Dale Hall at 7 p.m. And for more information, just please contact one of the officers at 325-4452. Stay with us and we'll be right back after this.
I love to work out. I like my body to be perfect. That's because I lead an active social life. I want to look good, but no matter what shape you're in, anyone can get the AIDS virus. And one workout that can protect you from the AIDS virus is not to take risks when it comes to sex.
Find out what kind of behavior puts you at risk. Call your local AIDS hotline or 1-800-342-AIDS.
John, I understand in the national news that you have for us this evening, you have a story about a lesbian lawsuit.
That's right, I sure do. In Salt Lake City, attorneys for a lesbian Spanish teacher are seeking to have a lawsuit against their client dismissed. Wendy Weaver and the Nebo School District have been playing tit for tat this summer with charges leveled in both directions. First, Weaver divorced her husband and moved in with a woman. When the school board asked her to sign an agreement not to discuss her sexuality in the classroom, Weaver declined. In what appeared to be retaliation, the school board refused to give her back her original teaching position, one from which she resigned when she decided to go back for her master's degree. Now Weaver is suing the school district for violation of her civil rights. Well, in light of the death of Matthew Shepard in Wyoming, a lawmaker in Indiana is calling for tougher hate crime laws for his state. Representative Bill Crawford, a Democrat, claims the country is way behind on this issue and it's time to get caught up. Indiana residents voted 2 years ago not to pass a hate crimes law, but Crawford has pledged to bring the issue back up. Other states across the country are also reacting to the violent gay bashing death of Shepard. Oklahoma, unfortunately, is not one of them. Well, 363 members of the clergy and laity throughout New England met on Martha's Vineyard in October to ask United Methodist bishops to change their stance on opposing gay marriages. The group signed a letter which was sent to the church's judicial council. In August, the council ruled that United Methodist pastors could not perform same-sex commitment ceremonies. The ruling said any pastor conducting these services would be removed. The New England group claims this ruling violates the gospel of Jesus Christ. There is no new word from the council, and inside sources say they doubt the letter will have any impact.
And with our health news, we have Desmond Stone.
Thanks, Dorinda. Good evening, everyone. I want to take just a moment to read a message I received from one of our viewers this week. Just wanted to tell you that I enjoy Gay News Break. You all do a good job. Keep up the good work. We need more of that positive image out there. Good show. Jim A. Berry, big thank you for your kind words, and I hope you keep watching. Keep writing, calling, faxing, and emailing us. We love hearing from each and every one of you. Now for some health news. After being tested for over 10 years, Remune, the Salk HIV vaccine, has proven to be effective in helping the immune system fight the virus. While traditional protease inhibitor therapy can reduce the amount of HIV in the blood, once this regimen is stopped, viral levels rise. After a 6-month trial, 87% of the subjects taking Remune, combined with highly active antiretroviral therapy, also called HAART, had their viral loads dropped significantly, while the same results were achieved in just 50% of those on HAART alone. Clinical trials of Remune are scheduled to begin in Canada sometime next year. In the last 2 decades, more American women have succumbed to breast cancer than all Americans killed in Korea, Vietnam, and both world wars. And of the 180,000 women diagnosed with breast cancer, this year about 46,000 will die. Dr. Deborah Lee Davis of the World Resource Institute advises eating less meat, eating more fruits and vegetables, minimizing your fat intake, getting regular exercise, avoiding excessive alcohol, and performing monthly breast self-exams can reduce your risk of breast cancer. People in Maine infected with hepatitis C 20 to 30 years ago are just now showing symptoms of the disease, and the figures are mounting, prompting Maine's Bureau of Health and the CDC to encourage all at-risk individuals to get tested. Of those who have tested positive for the virus, 60% show signs of chronic liver disease. Over 10,000 Maine residents may be infected with the virus and still be unaware of their condition. Officials say the figures from Maine mirror the rest of the country. A hypodermic needle designed to reduce the spread of infectious disease became available for use in Great Britain this week. The syringe has a built-in mechanism that prevents needle reuse. The device costs about 3 times as much as traditional disposable needles, but it's expected to save money overall due to the high cost of disease treatment. Discarded syringes account for approximately 200,000 needle stick injuries and 4,000 cases of disease transmission in Britain each year. He supports the cloning of dead celebrities' DNA. He surfs, he believes in astrology, and he does not believe that HIV causes AIDS, nor that it is passed on by sexual transmission. Kary Mullis, Nobel laureate chemist, contends that the people who originally developed AIDS had multiple parasites and that AIDS is a variety of diseases and not just one. In fact, Mullis believes that AIDS is not a disease at all. Mullis also claims that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the National Institutes of Health espouse AIDS as a disease since it is a primary source of funding. Stephen O'Brien, AIDS researcher and chief of the Laboratory of Genomic Diversity at the NIH, calls Mullis's ideas nonsense. And that wraps it up for this week's health news. Have a great week. Back to you guys.
Stay with us and we'll be right back with Chuck and the entertainment news.
Says he's a faggot. He has to fix this problem.
I don't think being gay is something we can fix.
Perverted. I don't want him in our house.
He's only 17. Where will he go? But he's our son.
He's not my son anymore. Not my son. Not my son. Not my son. Not my son.
I'm out here every week talking to people about sex. My message is simple. If you're gonna have sex, a latex condom used consistently and correctly could help prevent the spread of HIV and other STDs. People out there gotta understand. That's why I'll go anywhere to talk about latex condoms. Even into your living room.
Good evening, I'm Chuck Jones with tonight's entertainment news. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman recently won their civil suit against a London newspaper. The Express of Sunday newspaper had originally printed a story alleging that Cruise and Kidman were gay and that they had married on the orders of the Church of Scientology to cover up their homosexual inclinations. A lawyer representing the newspaper admitted in court that the accusations were completely false. Cruise and Kidman were awarded $330,000 in damages with an additional $250,000 for legal fees. Cruise has pledged to donate the damages to charity. Meanwhile, among other rumors of who is and who isn't gay, the New York Daily News previewed a new book on the Monaco royalty. In the book entitled The Royal House of Monaco, longtime bachelor Prince Albert tells author John Glatt that he is irritated by the persistent rumors that he is gay and that the many women that he dates are strictly for cover. Albert vehemently denies the rumors and says that he tries not to pay any attention to them. And finally, in honor of World AIDS Day on Tuesday, December 1st, the Sundance Channel will air Cyril Collard's award-winning film Les Nuits Fauves, better known as Savage Nights. The film was released in October 1992 and was one of the first films to open up the dialogue on AIDS. Collard, himself HIV positive, and one of the first public figures in France to openly acknowledge it, died of an AIDS-related illness in March 1993, just 3 days prior to receiving 4 César Awards, which is the French equivalent of the Academy Awards. Again, the film will air December 1st at 9:30 p.m. on the Sundance Channel. And if you're a big Wizard of Oz fan, it starts on the big screen this Friday night. You won't want to miss it. John, Dorinda?
Thank you, Chuck. Normally we have Ginger Lamar here in the studio for bringing you the weather, but this week we have Ginger Lamar out on location, and we have a fantastic feed coming to you from the Copa. Ginger, take it away.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are going into November, and we just finished Halloween. And as you know, we had lots and lots of rain. Did it bother you people? Come on, tell me. Did it bother you? Oh, you can make a little more noise. We're on TV tonight. Yeah, that's fabulous. We're at location tonight at the Copa, and of course, we did have a fabulous Halloween. And as you know, it has been wet and soggy, and probably will be again because winter is coming on. As you can see, I have a few little things marked on the map, like sun way down here in the lower part along the coast, and of course there'll be clouds here and here and here, and we'll periodically see the sun and then clouds and then sun and some rain, and it'll be all mixed up. And I kind of like November because we kind of play games with it. We don't really know what it's going to do, so I leave some of this up to you, like open the window, open the shade, look out. If it's raining, take your umbrella to work. It works. Our temperatures probably won't get much over 75, if they get that high, and probably won't get any, I wouldn't say any lower than 33. 33. See, we had somebody over there that knows. I had a meeting this week with all the weather people throughout the area, and we have found out that my bunion works better than any of these expensive Doppler systems that have now been set up. I know all the weather. See, I felt the flood in Blackwell in my biggest toe. I knew it, but see, I'm only on once a month, so I had no way to warn those people, so tough luck. Anybody from Blackwell? Good. All right, we're thrilled about that. You know, we'd like to bring somebody up tonight and let you see, well, we could just pick somebody. How about this lady right over here? Come on up here with me, girl. Yes, you. Right. Here she comes, boys and girls. We'll find out where she's from. This is one of my weather watchers, and I haven't met her, but I understand she's quite efficient with the weather. Hello, love. What's your name?
Heather.
Heather, and you live where?
Arapahoe.
Arapahoe. Now, see, she calls me. We haven't met, but she does call me from time to time to let me know what's going on in Arapahoe. And, of course, she and her mother and one cousin are the only people that live there, so no one really takes a lot of interest in Arapahoe. But tell us, did you have rain this weekend?
Floods.
Did you? Oh, I hate to hear that. Did you lose your trailer?
My barn.
Your barn? Oh, no. Was there anything in it of any importance?
I live in it.
You live in a barn. Oh, absolutely wonderful. Yes, and I guess you're one of the more well-to-do people in Arapahoe, am I right?
Of course.
Of course. What color was your barn?
White.
White? Oh, that's a nice color. Yes, very nice. Was the tractor lost? Any cattle?
No.
Are there cows and pigs and things that live in the barn with you, darling?
Behind it.
You have things behind it, like pigs?
Horses.
Horses, but behind it. Why don't they live in the barn and you live behind it? No certain reason. Do you raise any crops or anything? Wheat. Was it a total loss?
No. I don't know.
You don't really care either, do you? You're out partying, having a good time. You know, we don't really care about the wheat. There's enough anyway. Right? Did you make a lot of money this year on wheat?
Of course.
Did the heat, we had a terrible, terrible hot summer. Did it bother you?
No.
Oh, you're just a lot of fun to talk to. I have to remember you when I send out invitations for my next big extravaganza party. Well, thank you. Let's hear it for Miss Arapahoe, 1999. Thank you, my love. How fabulous to see you. Well, as I said, we're going to look for, intermittent rain, clouds, whatever. But I think it'll be all right. I don't think it's going to be anything really bad. By the way, since I was on the weather a month ago, I've lost 12 pounds. Can you tell? And the next time because it'll be after Thanksgiving and we intend to eat everything in the entire house. Yes, this is fabulous. And remember, we'll be back with you in December for our December forecast, so we want you to look forward to that. And there'll be lots of exciting things, and I'm going to give you the Santa Claus report, as of course I have an in with him, and it should be real exciting. But I want you to continue and watch Gay News Break each and every week, even though I'm not on. I know it's kind of disappointing, but that's okay. Just keep remembering, each week that goes by is that next week it'll be closer to when I come back. So until we see you again, stay safe and happy, and remember, it's up to you to stay dry, so keep an umbrella with you at all times. Thank you. Back to you, John, at the news desk. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Ginger. Crazy. The God's honest truth. That lady lived in a barn.
Oh, my.
In Arapahoe. Go figure. We can't top that, folks, so stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
It would be nice if latex condoms were automatic. But since they're not, using them should be. Simply because a latex condom used consistently and correctly will prevent the spread of HIV.
We encourage all of you to call in on our talkback line, which you see on your screen. The number is 525-5770. We are always welcoming your comments, as Desmond says every week. We appreciate the feedback that you've given him as well. And also, I wanted to bring up something briefly about the new governor of Minnesota. We want to congratulate Jesse the Body Ventura, a former wrestler, winning governor of Minnesota. And that is a perfect example that if you get excited enough about a candidate and you get a lot of people registered and they vote, that upsets like that can happen. Makes you wonder what would happen in our gay community, too, if that happened.
That's definitely something to talk about.
Thank you for staying with us, and we'll see you next week.